Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout New Vegas, where today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty requested handgun. This, I think, has gotten the most amount of requests on the recent videos, and this is going to be looking at that gun and the 5.56 pistol. The Blade Runner revolvers, because it was definitely modeled off of the revolver from Blade Runner, and it looks pretty cool. It's also a very unique weapon overall. Interestingly enough, this isn't even the first game that this weapon has actually shown up in, at least in the Fallout series, because I believe that this pistol is in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 as well. It's definitely in Fallout 1, I can't remember if it's in Fallout 2 or not. Let's start out with the 5.56 pistol and go over the stats of that, because technically this is the common version of that gun, even though that gun is in the base game, so you can get it whenever you would like. But you do need to have the Gunner's Arsenal DLC if you want to get the 5.56 pistol, which makes it rather interesting because that means NPCs can't have this, at least normally. If you have mods, then that's different, and you're going to have to buy this from a vendor. You can't really find it anywhere just sitting around in the wasteland. This one requires 50 guns and 6 strength. 6 strength is actually quite a lot for a handgun to need. It's not really unreasonable for a character to have 6 strength though. You're probably going to have that much, or you're going to have a way to get to it. Strength isn't one of the more difficult stats to increase, but this is the highest amount of strength I think that we've had for any of the weapons so far. This one does 28 damage per shot. This is just the base damage. It can actually go higher than that thanks to the perk Cowboy, because this does count as a revolver, so you get more damage if you want to go with that perk, which is really awesome. This one has 77 damage per second on it, which is fine. That's a pretty reasonable amount of damage per second with that amount of damage. This has a 28 damage on crit, which is average. Most weapons tend to have the same crit damage as regular damage, and that's just added when you hit a crit and doubled when you hit a sneak crit. This one has a 2x crit modifier, which is really good. That means whatever your crit chance is actually doubled with this weapon, so that's very nice. This costs 21 action points to use in VATS, which isn't very high. This has 0.6 spread, which is okay for a handgun. It's about on par with most of the other handguns. This holds 5 shots in it. This weighs 5 weight, which is fairly hefty for a handgun. Most handguns don't weigh that much. This one's one of the heavier ones. And this one has 175 HP, which is pretty good. It means it won't break super quick. Like I said, you do have to buy the 5.56 pistol from vendors. You can't get it any other way. I guess you can spawn it in, but that's basically the same type of thing. Vendors do tend to sell this. If you look for traveling merchants, they can have this, as well as they can have some other unique weapons and weapon mods. But the 5.56 pistol, if you can buy it early on enough, it's actually pretty decent. For general pros, this one has a really good ammo. 5.56 is an amazing ammo type because it has so many variations and it's just super versatile. It's also very common, which is great. At least the ammo. The gun itself is not, but the ammo is. This one has good damage per second, which is pretty good. It has good action point cost, so it works pretty well in a VATS build, and it has extra crit chance, which is pretty good too. Hitting crits is always going to be useful just because you're going to get more damage out of it. For the general cons of the 5.56 pistol and that gun, you do either have to buy this weapon or find this weapon, at least in the case of that gun. We'll talk about that in a second. So you can't just find it on raiders, you can't just find it easily. Sometimes vendors don't always sell this. Sometimes you can find it right away, which is really nice. It's kind of just a crapshoot as to whether you can get it right away or whether you're going to have to wait a little bit longer or go to multiple vendors. And I guess the other kind of con is that it has lowish accuracy. It's not the worst. It's very low accuracy for a 5.56 gun because most of them are extremely accurate. I think this one is the least accurate gun that fires that round, besides maybe the light machine gun. I think that one's less accurate, but most of the other weapons tend to be more accurate than the 5.56 pistol. So if you want to get the most value per shot, this one may not be the option for you. But if you just want a 5.56 small slot gun, then the 5.56 pistol is pretty good for that. For ammos, you have the standard 5.56 ammo, which is going to do base damage. You have the 223 ammo. This makes it so you do 10% less damage per shot, but you also break your gun 20% slower. So you can get extra durability from this, which is pretty nice. You can have armor-piercing rounds into this, which nerf your damage slightly, but it makes it so you can punch through armor better, which is fantastic. You can have hollow point rounds, which give your enemy more armor, which doesn't matter if they don't have any armor, but if they do have armor, it can be bad. And you get 75% more damage thanks to those rounds. You can also have the surplus. Surplus gives you 15% more damage, but it does make it so your gun breaks 3 times as fast, so those ones are kind of iffy to use in a weapon like this. And you can have the match rounds, which match rounds make it so you also get 15% more damage, and your gun is even more accurate, which is pretty good. Match rounds are usually what I go with for this gun, but having extra like hollow point rounds and armor piercing rounds in this can be super nice as well. That way you can just switch and use it for any sort of occasion. With the 5.56 pistol being so versatile on our tier list, I would probably put the 5.56 pistol into B tier. It is a very solid weapon. It allows you to deal with basically anything, as well as if you have the cowboy perk, then that helps out a lot where you get more damage. Let's talk about the unique version now, which is that gun. Like I said, that gun is in the base game, so even if you don't have the DLC, you can actually just pick that up right away. It does have slightly better stats than the regular 5.56 pistol, and you can find this one in Novak. You can either buy this one or you can steal this one. So this can be found in the Dino Bite gift shop. Cliff sells this gun, and it's gonna run you probably, but depending on your barter skill, around 1500 caps-ish. Again, if you have higher barter, it's going to be lower than that. If you have lower barter, I think it's going to be a little bit higher than that. So it's not unreasonable to buy this. It's not one of the most expensive weapons in the game. But again, you can actually steal this. It's found just in the room next to him. If you open up the door, then you can just walk in there, grab the pistol, and it'll be a stolen pistol, but it will be a free pistol then. This one has the same requirements as the 5.56 pistol, so it requires 50 guns and 6 strength. Kind of heavy for the strength. This does 30 damage compared to the 28 damage that the other one does. This one does 90 DPS compared to 77 DPS. This one has 30 crit damage on it, which is nice. This one actually has a 2.5 times multiplier on it for crit chance, which is one of the highest out of any of the handguns, so hitting crits with this one works really well. This costs 19 action points, slightly less than the 5.56 pistol, which is good. Has slightly better spread at 0.5 rather than 0.6. This one still holds 5 shots, still weighs 5, and this one does have better item health at 225, so it's not going to break super fast. That gun is a pretty solid upgrade to the 5.56 pistol, and you can actually kind of just skip the 5.56 pistol if you just want to run right to Novak and grab this. This is a pretty good early game option since the 5.56 round is so common all throughout the game, and it will carry you quite a ways. This is by no means the best handgun in the game, at least in my opinion, but it is a very solid option. And again, if you get like cowboy perk and you like going with the revolvers, then this one can be really, really good. Its DPS can go up pretty high. And I would put this one a tier higher than the standard 5.56 pistol. Put it up into A tier because it is a very solid pistol all the way around. And it's probably the most versatile pistol in the game just because, maybe not counting energy weapon pistols because sometimes their ammo can be a little bit better too. But that gun is a very solid option all the way around. And just having that huge ammo pool, that huge ammo variety is really nice for this. So should you use that gun or the 5.56 pistol? Sure. If you want to go with this, or if you have excess 5.56, like you're not really using it for a primary weapon, it can be pretty good. There are some better 5.56 guns than that gun. Something like All American, which we'll talk about later in this list, but that's for another day. It's still a very solid option, and if you want just a decent all-around handgun, then that gun is very good. It also just looks really cool, especially if you're a fan of Blade Runner, then by all means use it, because that's always cool to see. Tell me your thoughts on the 5.56 pistol and that gun down in the comments below. How do you enjoy both these guns, and where would you put them on the tier list? Tell me what weapon you would like to see next. We have gotten a lot of suggestions, so I have a decent list of stuff that's going to be coming out soon. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.